Hey, everybody, and welcome to the People Cooler Than Me Show, episode 3. I am so excited to have you here. I'm here with my partner in crime, as I call him, Jared Gator.
What's up?
Hey, the tech guy is here. We are making incremental improvements to this broadcast. I have a better camera. I have a slightly better microphone. But stay tuned, guys. For those of you who are worried about the quality, like, I hear you. I'm with you. We're working on it. I actually am in the process of building a studio that we're going to start filming out of. So I'm super excited about that. We're going to do it in my style, which is like bare bones, like as bootstrapped as possible. But the quality is going to be to Jared Gator's standards, which is a whole other thing. So yeah, we really appreciate it, guys. It's going to be great. Today we're especially excited about the show because we have our special guest. With no further ado, Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Tyler. How are you doing?
We're doing all right. We're doing okay here. We wanted to talk to you about your story because you and I connected on Instagram, and we talked a little bit about your startup experience in the eSports world, which is a super unique. I didn't even realize sort of until yesterday that this was an eSports startup. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about how you got into the eSports gaming world and and kind of tell us a little bit about that world?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've been gaming my whole life. Like, my grandfather got me a Nintendo 64 when I was a kid, and it was just downhill from there. There was no escaping it for me. But it was always very a personal experience for me with video games. It was very one-on-one. It was always me and the story, me and the characters. It was very rarely me against other players or me versus my friends. So in 2013, my friends invited me to start playing a game called Dota 2 with them. And this was a game that I'd heard of, I knew about it, but I never really, got into it. I wasn't that competitive. So here in Canada, we have Tim Hortons, which it's kind of like Dunkin' Donuts. And so for about a month, they would bribe me with Timbits, these essentially like donut holes. They would just bribe me with all these sweets, like, oh, play Dota with us.
Oh, we have plenty of Tim Hortons here in Toledo, Ohio, as well. So no worries. Awesome. We indulge in the we indulge in the donut holes a little too often, probably.
Yeah. So I started playing with that religiously, and that was probably in about March or April-ish of 2013. And at that point, I then began hearing of the International 2013. Now, for people who don't know esports, it's essentially competitive video gaming. You think of professional football, professional soccer, professional basketball, baseball, hockey, and apply that to gamers. And this was a reality. So I began watching the International, which is the equivalent of the Super Bowl for Dota 2. And the prize pool is over $1 million. It was like $9 million. I don't have the number off the top of my head.
For esports, what year was this?
This was 2013. So actually, that is insane. Is that really international?
I had no idea that it was this big of a thing.
It was. It is. It's absolutely massive. So the price was 2.8 million. Sorry, it was the year afterwards that it actually ballooned to like 9 million.
So it's blowing up completely.
Absolutely. And so I was following this because I never grew up watching sports. I was never like a hockey guy, a basketball guy, soccer, any of that. So to be able to finally connect with a professional sportive like team, it was incredible. So when a Swedish team called the Alliance won, they took home like $1.8 million. And I was blown away that people can now do this professionally and with a massive audience. Like, there's this Ukrainian player, Dendy. It's a great stat that he had more Twitter followers than the Ukrainian national soccer team. Just to give some perspective, how much people value esports. So
was he a Dota player?
Yeah, he was a professional Dota player. Yeah.
Okay, so what's this game like before we go too much?
So it's like a football wizarding game. It's 2 teams of 5, so 10 players total, and each team is trying to destroy the enemy's base. And to do that, you have to work together to destroy different enemy objectives. And you work your way up closer and closer to the enemy base, breaking down any defensive structures. and at the same time trying to eliminate other enemy players who are on the map.
It's a strategy-based game then?
Very, very strategy-based. So of course, it's not as visually exciting as watching the physical prowess of an athlete, a physical athlete. But when you understand the game, to see the mental Olympics that's going on, it's mind-boggling.
And so people watch this. People,
millions.
Yeah,
it's a huge audience.
That's incredible to me. I had no idea. So you thought to yourself, I got to get a team together, right?
Exactly. So that was the goal. Like I want to be at the next international, maybe not the next one, but in a few years, maybe the TI 2017, 2018. So I said to myself, goals, within the next few months, let me build a team. Let me go and find players. We're going to, be the best 5 players in North America. We're going to practice every day. We're going to compete in every tournament, take home all the championships. And then one day I'll be on the big stage. So that was the dream. And right away, that's when I was faced with all the different limitations that amateur esports players face. On a professional level, it's no different than an NBA player or an NHL player. You have a manager, you have coaches, sponsors, you have a massive fan base. You have everything that you need to support you so you can focus on practicing and being the best. Amateur players don't have that. So, the difference is if I lived in Toledo, Ohio with you guys and we want to form a team, a football team, that's easy. We just physically live near each other and that's it. Esports, though, I could find players, and I did find players who were in China, Germany, India, different time zones. So you start factoring in all the different complexities that are involved in managing a team on an amateur level. It was a huge challenge. So eventually, luckily, I was able to get 4 other people in the Eastern time zone. So we were on the same time zone at least. But then we're 5 people with completely different schedules, completely different priorities and different obligations. So, practicing in and of itself was a challenge. Scheduling everything was an even bigger challenge. And then when we finally signed up to our first tournament, oh man, we were annihilated. We were crushed. There was just not enough practice that we had before, waltzing in the front door for this tournament. And that's when I realized that maybe I'm not cut out for playing. I mean, I of course realized my own limitations as a player. Like, I'm just not that good. And at that time, I wasn't willing to put in the absolute commitment. So I thought to myself, okay, what were the challenges I faced and could I create a solution? So that's where the idea for Tribe came to be. TRYB.
TRYB. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So this is an app.
Yeah. So I decided to build an app that would, everyone's building an app. I decided to build an app.
It's the Uber for gamers.
Yeah, like that. It was. Of course, it's so funny when I think of the way I would sell it and the way I approached the business. But I'm sure we'll get to that in a bit. So Tribe, the high level pitch was, it's a platform that connects aspiring amateur gamers together to build and form the best esports teams so that they can focus on practicing and competing.
Nice little elevator pitch you got there. Like that was, I could tell you were used to saying that.
He's practiced a few times.
I practiced this a lot. There was at one point I had in fact a 6-second pitch in front of an audience of a few hundred, I believe, and I practiced for 60 seconds that pitch for about 2 months. Like
you had 60 seconds in front of an audience of hundreds, and you were practicing this for 2 months.
Yeah, those 60 seconds with so many iterations.
Are you the sole were you the sole founder of this? So
that's one of the most critical mistakes.
You're the founder and CEO. Oh, that's interesting. So so you would have to do it again. You would have found a business partner.
No, I would have found a technical partner. I was the business end. I was running a technical company without a technical co-founder. I always thought I could get by with a team of strong developers, but you cannot equate a good developer to a technical co-founder in terms of commitment. Like I just could not expect an employee to put in the same level of waking up at 4 a.m. to put out some fires.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you needed someone. You needed a Jared, who would leap over any obstacle to help you put on your stupid little web show or in
Absolutely.
So you're going this alone. Is that the only pitch you had to do, or I mean, you're talking probably a lot of pitches, right?
Yeah, many pitches. That was just one of my favorites.
And did you have an app at this point, or you were in the idea phase?
So for the pitch I referenced, we were developing our MVP. So for those that don't know, MVP is a minimally viable product. It's essentially the concept of building software and even hardware is you don't spend years in development and then put out a beautiful product. You put out the absolutely bare minimum version of what the value proposition is, and then you iterate on that. So that way, every time you pump a new update, let's say it's once a month, you get as much feedback as you can, then you learn and you build. That's the idea behind it. So we were working on our MVP at that time. That was about May of 2015, that 60-second pitch.
Okay,
but I had other pitches.
So the strategy is to prove the concept then in the beginning? Is that what an MVP is? Or at this point, you've already proved the concept and you're just trying to get something out there so you can start iterating?
A bit of both. The MVP has to always be usable. It has to actually be able to be used by a customer or a client's hands. They have to be able to interact with it. But
by this point, how much time had you spent on things like a business plan and logo design and any kind of
all
like
the assets that you made?
Yeah. So business plans are a bit of an ancient relic.
That's kind of what I was getting at. That's kind of what I was getting at is that, you'll have a lot of people who will want to do these things, develop a comprehensive business plan. And they'll I don't know, go to Google and find templates for business plans and try to fill out an eight-page business plan, and things like that. Yeah. So, and that's kind of what I was getting at is prove the concept, get out what you're calling an MVP. I actually didn't. I know I'd heard the term before, but I had no idea what it meant. And then start iterating on that. So it seems like you're at a good strategy right now. You're in the process of iterating when you were doing these pitches, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's so there was sort of two phases of the startup. So when I first started, I did not have a team of developers. I had nothing. I only had whatever savings I had, and would sell some of my comic books or old Magic the Gathering cards, gets a little bit of extra cash. And on the recommendation of a friend of mine, I outsourced the MVP to a team in India. And that was sort of that was how I was going to prove the concept. I was going to get this bare bones product, put it on Reddit, because the esports community is very, very popular on Reddit. There are very specific subreddits for different games, Dota, League of Legends, etc. And I got about 300 people to interact with that. That was how using that data, I was able to sell it to, future investors and future people that would be able to give me money and fund me. Unfortunately, things just I was able to raise some funds. I was able to build a team of developers.
You had 60,000, right?
Yeah, in total about 68 that I raised, plus whatever I personally put into the company.
Okay, and remind me where in Canada are you, or were you at the time?
Still here, Montreal, Quebec.
In Montreal, are you born and raised in Montreal?
Funny story. So you can't tell, and it's not super obvious.
I was gonna say there's not a huge accent or anything, so I was thrown off.
I grew up in Florida.
Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah, that's where I get my
full circle.
This beautiful tan. It's from 10 years of out in the sun. Yeah, I love that joke. I think I say it every single time.
Right.
I did spend 10 years in Florida. I was born in Montreal, but my parents essentially did a round trip. I was born, they just flew back the next day. So I spent 10 years there. And it's I speak French fluently, but my English is way stronger.
Okay, cool. So what's the startup scene like in Montreal while you're going through all of this?
Are you asking my perspective now or back then? Because
let's hear both. Very interesting. Okay. Let's hear both.
So when I started it was my first startup, and I was fresh on the scene. It was my first startup, and I was never exposed to any of this. I went to as many events as I could. I joined an incubator, and I would try to absorb as much knowledge as I could. And I would be so fascinated by anybody who seemed remotely further ahead than me. And what that sort of gave me was a false impression of what the startup world is like. So back then, I thought the startup world was amazing. I thought it was so full of innovation, so full of bright-eyed people. I'm sure there is still some element of truth to it. But after everything failed, after everything I had to deal with mentally and internally, my perspective changed when I kind of realized that, and to quote Gary Vaynerchuk, who is sort of a common link of how you and I met.
Yeah.
And we're living in such like, I think I'm going to quote him verbatim. We're living in such a bullshit era of fake entrepreneurship where people are basically club promoters. There are so many people I met, entrepreneurs that I met, that would take days off and would leave early, and they wouldn't put in the work. Myself included. I am not excluding myself. I am very capable of reflecting back and see how I ran things. Culturally, fine. But actually, hard work, it wasn't all there. And I definitely could have done better. I was so seduced by the idea of being a successful entrepreneur and making it before 30 and having an amazing exit and being one of those people you read about and are inspired by, but forgetting all the hard work behind it.
So basically the startup scene and culture in Montreal is exactly like it is everywhere else. It's this like this overhyped. We actually talked about it in my interview with Pete yesterday, where we talked about the expectations of wealth early on and the expectations of success early on. So it's fair to characterize you then as saying that you were fully you were bought into that culture.
Yeah, and I don't want to seem too negative. Like, there is a lot of good. There have been phenomenal innovations in Montreal. There is a lot of venture capital to be found there. I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from trying to start something in Montreal. Just don't be overly seduced and be realistic in your expectations.
Yeah, this entire conversation is coming from a place of we're entrepreneurs. The people following this are entrepreneurs. Most of them Gary Vaynerchuk fans. Like we're fans of the idea of pursuing your dreams, starting your business.
Yeah.
We're fans of places like Montreal that attempt to provide a good environment for the tech scene. So this is all coming from a place of admiration for that. But it's like you said, the culture gets out of hand quickly, and so that doesn't mean that there's not underlying value in these places, and there's not entrepreneurs who are really out there creating some real innovation and really disrupting industries, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess let's move into you're running this app, and you're getting a lot of your value, it sounds like, your own sort of self-esteem from this sort of successful image of a CEO of a new disruptive app.
Depressingly, yes.
Yeah, and I mean that's not anything against you. Like that's the thing. Like that's the thing that we all have to watch out for. And it's not just entrepreneurs. There's a lot of people who get caught up in their careers and at their own value.
I think it's millennials especially.
Yeah, absolutely. Our generation sort of expects success because we recognize the times we live in. We know that those of us living in a first world country, if you run an iPhone, you can start it. If you have an iPhone, you can start a business, and so, we sort of expect success and expect a lot of ourselves. So tell me about what happened next. And the money dried up, the customers you did have went away. I mean, what happened next?
Neither, actually. So in about July 2015, we went live with the MVP. And so my vision for the app in its early stages was it would provide 3 core functionalities that would provide the most value to people. It would be able to help you find other players to build your team. It would be able to schedule all your practices and help you sign up directly for tournaments. And it would be a communication platform. So those are the 3 elements that we want to focus on. And due to the technical level of my team, I kind of had to choose one of those that we would launch with. And recognizing that communication would be the fastest one to be developed, and sort of feeling uneasy about spending so much time with little results on any of the other ones, I made the decision, let's go on communication. So we'd be able to chat with each other. So when it went live,
so you're hinging the core value of your app is you're designing it and marketing it as primarily as a communication tool, as opposed to the scheduling functionality. You're saying that you had to make a call, and that call was to focus almost entirely on the communication value and communication aspects of your app's functionality.
I mean, we always try to market it as the complete package, and we're very clear that like, this is what we want. This is where we are. Yeah, there you go. And I never tried to deceive or lie to anyone. Those were the realities. So it was the wrong decision, because when people downloaded the app, there was no inherent extra value for them to want to hop off their current platforms. So people would be like, why would I abandon email, Facebook Messenger, Skype, Google Hangouts, Discord, which was starting out at the time, which is essentially a really powerful communication platform for gamers. Okay. Really cool. And so
you're saying they didn't really see the value in your app?
Exactly, because all it could do at the time was communication.
Gotcha.
So there was a lot of stress just leading up to that, and then dealing with the consequences of those decisions. So I didn't run out of money. In fact, we still had a good amount of money in the bank. But I recognized that, what would be the best way to put this? There would be so much backpedaling to fix all the mistakes that were made in just communication that would slow down to an absolute halt future developments. And at the same time, I just had this growing stress, and my mind just kept getting more and more trying to find like more colorful words, but essentially I had a mental breakdown at one point. It's like being a solo co-founder, having dealing with mental illness, depression on the side really doesn't help. And then there was all that pressure I put on myself that I gotta succeed at this time. Of course, I wasn't even putting in all of the work necessary, but I was still beating myself up for it. And eventually it leads to a realization that I simply cannot continue running this company. There were too many bad decisions. I would not be able to develop fast enough with the current team.
What was your team? What was your team like? Did you have full-time employees, freelancers that were relying on you, or what did that look like from your perspective?
They were all my developers they were actually students. They were younger than me by a few years, but for me that had nothing to do with their skill set. Like I hired them because of their curiosity for the project and their skill and their willingness to improve. That was very important for me. There was no challenge that they were never saying, I don't really want to develop that. It was more, hey, I would love to develop that. Let's put some resources into it.
So you had an eager young team that was really pulling for you too. And I just imagine that's adding to the stress at this point.
Absolutely. I didn't want to let them down, but I had to, or I did, and I had to deal with that too. So I had a one-on-one meeting with each and every single one of them to thank them for everything they did for me, and the time they gave me. They were all part-time, but every hour they put in was so passionate in what they were doing, and I just hope that they realized how much I appreciated the work they did. So I had to say goodbye to them one-on-one, individually, of course. Because I could not continue the project.
Yeah, and this is the part of the startup stories that don't typically make it out of Silicon Valley or Montreal in your case. And yet it's the norm experience.
Yeah, I've spoken to other people, and mental, nowadays in 2017, the stigma of mental illness really isn't as bad, which is definitely one that helps me be far more open about it. Before the idea of Tribe ever came to be, like there was always some part of me that was dealing with depression. Like it's very cyclical. It goes up and it has its ups and downs. I never actually had knowledge about it in a way. Like, you have sex ed in high school, you kind of have at least some abstract idea of it.
Right.
But they don't really have that for depression or mental illness. So
yeah.
I didn't realize the impact that it had on me, and that I could easily have dealt with it from a much younger age. So when I have that to deal with, and it keeps compounding on and on and on and on, I find that that's such a common thing in entrepreneurship. I sometimes think that I started the company almost as an escape from dealing with myself. Like I could just throw myself into this project and distract myself from reality. And I've met many entrepreneurs that are in a similar situation. And it's not good. I do not advise this at all. You
don't advise what?
Going into entrepreneurship, if you're not 100% confident in the status of your physical and mental health. Like the stresses of entrepreneurship take tolls on your body and your mind. And that's something that people don't consider. Like we're so caught up in like making it to the top and succeeding and exiting. And so for the people that are putting in the effort, it kills you.
Yeah, because you need to live, breathe, and die. I mean, if you have to for your company. And yeah. I feel like your depression must have had some sort of correlation with it too.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It was a major factor.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think that is that culture of living, breathing, dying is kind of what we touched on. It's like, there are other things in life, besides your company, and yet you're just so enthralled in what's going on that you can lose sight of being grateful for having a great family, or your friends, the developers on your team, which it sounds like you were really grateful of them at the time. But it's just keeping things in perspective. Like you don't have to die. You don't have to run yourself into depression, right? So and sometimes like an idea is good, and it's just not the right time, right? Or there's so many different factors that go into it that don't have to do with your self-worth, that it just seems silly to hinge so much of your value and the way that you perceive yourself on the success of this.
I tied so much of myself into the startup. It was, which, depending on how you look at it, is both good and detrimental. Like if you're in a very healthy state of mind and you're good and like you're working, of course, like be one with your idea so you can give it your all. But if you're not, like I was, and you put so much into the company, it will inevitably fail, and that will just make things a lot worse.
Did you have people who treated you differently, and you were surprised by that after going from being, this up and coming startup that was raising money? You had a team working for you. I'm assuming that you were working with people who VCs or angel investors who gave you that money. When all of this sort of came apart, were you surprised by any kind of burning of bridges, or any sense of being abandoned or anything like that?
The honest answer is, no. I wasn't shocked in the sense that I was surprised by how people reacted. It was really a lot of me. Like at the peak of the meltdown, I became not paranoid, but just that's sort of when I became very disillusioned to the romance of the startup life. And I began to see people as sycophantic and very fake. And there's so many people that I would speak to like every day in the entrepreneurship life that I kind of thought like we were very close. So when I retreated, what shocked me was there were very few people that followed up and just to see how I was doing. Like they didn't notice that I kind of just disappeared for a while. But no, like in terms of actual judgments and the way people would treat me when they spoke to me, not really, no. I kind of just had this pressure, like everyone's watching, but people are so busy on their own projects. It was actually fairly like self-centered of me. And I was the one that was burning those bridges because I was so upset by how little people seem to care. And that's really just my perspective. So the people that didn't reach out, very compassionate, very understanding, and I had a lot of support.
Yeah, it seems like it would be easy to feel that way when everybody just kind of moves on with their thing and what they're doing, and you would feel kind of left behind a little bit there.
Yeah.
Not because of any wrongdoing of the people around you, but just because of the circumstances. So let's go forward a little bit. And you contacted me on social media to talk about your story, and it sounded like you're starting to pull the pieces back together a little bit. And does this story have a happy ending?
Please.
That's a really fun.
Okay, guys, that's the show. Sorry.
Startup life is depressing and it's awful. No. There is a happy note to end on. I wouldn't say it's a happy ending in the sense that it's
the story's not over yet.
Story's not over, exactly. Like I wrote a blog post a couple days ago where I basically said that like with Tribe, I was so focused on the destination and I wasn't paying attention to the journey. Now, when I was a young kid, I always, like, and this is gonna sound super morbid, but I always romanticized apocalypses. Like I just love the idea of a society collapsing and then
of course. I mean, look at how popular The Walking Dead is. Look at how popular Hunger Games is. Like, people love this.
Something about dystopian futures or post-apocalyptic futures. There's just something about it very natural almost in a way. So like I played many games, watched many movie shows that had similar settings, and the idea of being fully independent and autonomous to the point you can survive off of whatever's on your back, I love that idea. But of course, I have none of those skills. Like if you put me in a forest right now, before this thing runs out of battery, I'm dead for sure. There's no way I'm gonna survive. Absolutely not. So I know, like after like overcoming like all my mental health, like fun days, like why wouldn't I put the effort in to be as healthy as I can be? Why wouldn't I try to be the best I can be? So there's so many skills and skill sets I want to learn, such as like, how do I build a shelter in a forest? How do I forage for berries or leaves?
Literally or metaphorically?
Literally. So I decided to, I came up with an idea for a business. Like, wouldn't it be fun if I could create this weekend experience where I hire a survival expert, someone that could really guide people on a weekend, take them way out of their comfort zone and show them, like, with the right skill sets, this is what you could accomplish. So to give them a taste of that reality. And of course, the more I thought about it, and I had a friend who was on board, absolutely, he's a former Marine, so he knows a thing or two about survival. The more I thought about it, I was like, do I really want to run
all of the waivers?
I'll follow. Yeah, I've had the waivers, but more just like myself. Am I the right person to lead that kind of company when I can't even do any of that stuff? So that's sort of the destination. That's the happy ending, is creating that experience for people, whether it's here in Montreal, because we have some beautiful natural sceneries in woodland areas.
How far along on that? How far along on your little project are you?
So I just started this like 2-3 weeks ago. Like I've been ideating for about a month with my friend Thomas. And then
ideating is bad. We don't like ideating here.
Exactly. So then, and then of course there was that spark where it's just, okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to start learning stuff. And there came in the shift where the academy, like the experience, that's the end goal, far, far away. But for right now, this is my journey. Like now I have to be the person who would be proud and ready to run that kind of operation. So now I'm documenting the journey of me learning these different skills. So like I've ordered on Amazon a different a foraging book, and like once the snow melts, like,
foraging
I wrote.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's like I gave myself like a fun short-term goal where it'll be really fun if on the way home from work I can fill a salad bowl and just eat that when I get home, because like urban foraging is a real thing, and then I can apply it to the woods. So documenting this journey now, like I have to teach myself how to use Instagram, and that's how I found you. My Instagram account is super, super young. I started blogging, which I never really did before. And these are all skills that I have to improve while simultaneously building my physical health and gaining these technical skills of foraging, hunting, laying traps, how to find water in the middle of nowhere, how to navigate using the stars, a compass, a map. Like there's all kinds of stuff that I am so fascinated by, and I'm so eager to learn, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to keep track of what I'm doing. So the documentation, it's sort of, there's two reasons. Like one, having an audience, having eyes on me, it's hard to not stay committed. And I think that's why Taylor, the girl from that you interviewed on your first episode, one of the reasons she's absolutely slaying it right now is because she has so many people watching her.
Yeah, it's hard. She can't stop now. She has
absolutely.
She has like 12,000 views the other, 12,000 followers on Instagram. Like you can't not put up that blog post.
Absolutely. So I want to have that pressure. Like I thrive under pressure. I absolutely love it, and it helps me stay grounded. It helps me to not fantasize too far ahead.
So you want the people watching this to go to your Instagram, follow you, and tell you that they're watching.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Like bring the pressure on, or read my blogs and let me know what you think. But most importantly, I just want feedback, I really want to know how I can improve, how I can make this story. Because nowadays with the whole Vayner Nation movement, whatever you want to call it, there's so many people now that want to document their journey. I'm not too worried about standing out per se, but I definitely want to be able to provide something unique and something interesting, just the way you're doing it with your show. Right, that's why I was so drawn. The name itself sold it for me like that. I loved it.
Yeah, it's a fun name, and like it's just it really is the intent of the show to be different, to talk to people like you so early in your journey. I'm gonna put your Instagram handle in the description on this YouTube video. That's actually a suggestion from one of our subscribers, Vessi. So shout out to Vessi. We're gonna start linking we're going to link to the Instagram accounts and Twitter accounts in the description. So I don't know why I didn't think of that. Jared, why didn't you think of that?
That's my bad. I'm sorry.
Well, we're learning every day.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone can go to the description here in a minute and follow Jonathan on his journey. I'm looking at your Instagram. Yeah, it looks like you have oh my goodness. It's like hard-boiled eggs, these black
ramen
things.
Oh God, yes. I invited a friend of mine because she has a few hundred followers, Helen, and another friend, Anastasia. They have a few hundred followers on Instagram.
This looks like a dish from Harry Potter. It looks like like something that like a witch's brew type situation.
Have you never had ramen? I fully suggest you try it out if you have a ramen shop nearby.
Wait, did you say ramen? Like ramen noodles?
Yeah, that's ramen. Yeah, that's ramen. That's real ramen.
Oh, okay. So there's like ramen noodles that you buy for $1, and then there's like authentic.
I went to a restaurant
ramen.
For this.
Okay.
That's a restaurant. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I invited my friend Helen to show me how do you Instagram. So we're literally at the table. This is the first time I ever did this, because I used to kind of giggle to the side of people who did this, but there we are, rearranging the table, getting the right angle, getting the right lighting to get this picture of the ramen. And I no longer see that as weird, because that's Instagram. That is that culture. I'm not going to operate based on how I think the world should be, as we've heard many times. I'm just it is what it is. That's how Instagram works. That's how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and that is actually, and I'm not thinking of it until now, just now, that that's a perfect example of what we try to do when we're just starting something like this show, or you starting your foraging for berries business, and your survival business, post-apocalyptic survival business. And by the way, I think you have to go with the post-apocalyptic theme. And I'm in. I'm your first customer.
That would be so awesome. Sweet. Have you heard of the whole I mean, we
zombie
have a thing in
experience.
Toledo. Yeah, like in Toledo,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have a thing called Trap Toledo and stuff like that. Like you go into a room for like an hour, you try to escape before like a monster or whatever gets you, or a zombie in the middle of the room.
Yeah, absolutely. We
Gets
have
closer
similar
and
things in
closer.
Montreal. I love them. They're incredible. The atmosphere kills it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I
Imagine
mean, I say
doing your
kill it
week.
positively.
I was gonna say, imagine doing your weekend trip, but you're trying to survive from like monsters and stuff getting you too. Like it's a real
I'm
life
serious, dude. You're
horror
onto something.
movie.
You're onto something huge here. I was just
Like
messing with you
that's
with the.
awesome.
Yeah, you're if you could commit to the post-apocalyptic theme like Jared's talking about. Like I didn't even think about those things, Jared. That's genius. Like and really make it like a weekend getaway. Like man, you're onto something big for sure.
I would
It'd be a lot of
definitely go.
You know what?
I buy you guys plane tickets and invite you to Montreal.
I take that as a solid offer. I am that's set in stone. And but
It's on video.
yeah,
It's on video. Yeah, it's on the record.
So I kind of think of it.
Economy seats, not first class.
Right. Now you're hedging. So I kind of see it in the realm of the those like extreme races that everyone's putting on.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who are making millions of dollars putting on these extreme races that essentially putting people through like the most horrible like
But they love it.
physically excruciating experience of their life, and they'll pay you.
Well, that's a really good
I don't know.
idea. That just gave me a really good idea. Like I could invite people that have followings. Like, hey, like you think you can survive? Let's put it to the test.
Yeah, dude.
That'd be really good. Yeah, that's
Collaboration.
years away.
Too, yeah.
That could be
That's
years
awesome.
away that I get to there. But my point is that now, like, I'm just one day at a time. I'm being patient. I'm not rushing to be a millionaire by 30. I'm not like that. That's younger me. It's past me. I've learned from my mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I honestly think the business we're describing isn't even really that big of a. I mean, this is what we do. Let's hash it out. It's not really a huge cost of entry because you need a guide. It's probably not you at this point.
Definitely not. You want to sign up to die? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Skip the waiver, but
yeah. So there's your opportunity for a business partner, like you mentioned, or not. I don't mean a business partner as someone who does the business. I mean a partner in your business who comes from this kind of background, and a raw, authentic survival experience in the woods. And then finding little like touches. It's sort of like Seth Godin's Purple Cow. Like have something in there that makes it different than any other survival experience. See how you can twist that sort of post-apocalyptic theme into it, even if it's just a story. Like explaining to the people, like the people who are going out into the woods with you, even if it's just a story as they're walking out, hiking out with you.
Yeah.
Why are we out in the woods? What are we allowed to bring with us? That could be a really fun thing. They start out in a room with supplies, but they only have a bag so big, right?
Or they're only allowed to grab one item from the room.
Yeah,
and you can have people that have to grab different items, and they really have to like coordinate. Like, oh, you have the flashlight, you have the knife, you have the tent. Like, let's hash it out. How are we going to survive? That could be a fun corporate or company exercise.
This is like
weekend experience.
Yeah,
sure.
And they're gonna be hiking, so you have the exercise component. This is literally like extreme mud racing meets escape rooms meets like strategy puzzle game. It meets like weekend getaway.
That'd be great. Oh, I'm excited now. Like I'm even more pumped.
I'm excited.
So it's not so it's not just a foraging for berries company. Jeez.
Yeah, no, that's me. Those are the skills that I want to have.
No, I think it's a really good idea, man. I'm really excited about it. People in the comments section, because we have people subscribed to us now. They're watching. We have 3 viewers right now. So in the comments section, let us know what you think of Jonathan's business. I like stuff like this. I want to like get to like the core of it, right? And like what is it that you're working on? What can we get excited about? And I know that you're still at the very beginning of this, and what we talked about, you could pivot from that even and go a different direction, or just come up with a completely new idea. There's no pressure, but like, I think the people watching this would love to see how this plays out. So, follow Jonathan on Instagram. Is that going to be the best place to do it?
Yeah, I'll definitely be able to really engage with people on Instagram, but I would also love it if people could follow me on Medium, which is where I'm blogging.
I saw that there's
the URL.
There's also a Medium link in your bio on Instagram.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because that's sort of where I want to take. Like, Instagram is like really capturing my day to day. I think Medium will help me be able to provide actual practical information. Like here's what I learned. You can try it now, sort of thing. Or just really to have things on written form.
Dude, this business is literally like, this is fantastic. I'm getting like really excited right now. Like you putting out Medium content on like on survival tips and things like that. The kind of people who would be interested in reading that are also the kind of people who'd be interested on going on this excursion with you. So by putting that content out, you are building your audience. You're building your fan base. Yeah, these are your clients, and it's jab, 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 right hook, right?
Yeah.
You give them value. And by the way, guys, jab, 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 right hook is the name of a business book written by Gary Vaynerchuk.
My boy.
It's he's the man. You literally give value, and then the right hook is the asking for a ticket on this crazy adventure this weekend, and that sort of thing. So I think the Medium thing, dude, that's your revenue source, or not your revenue source, but the funnel where you're going to build your base of potential clients.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely how I've been approaching it. I'm still finding my voice, still finding my writing style. Like I can
so
go.
You're way ahead of me on all of this.
For now.
Okay, all right.
You can totally catch up. It's not a race, right?
You never know what our listeners are going to add to the conversation too. So
yeah, I'm really excited to hear what people have to say.
Yeah, we've gotten some really great comments. We should do a shout out to our watchers, listeners, subscribers, because we've, for as little as I get that humble beginnings, like as little as this little show is, we're getting some fantastic feedback in the comments section. I'm really encouraged by it. So bravo to our subscribers.
Yes, thank you, subscribers.
Yeah, and you're one of them, of course.
Of course. I think I was like your fourth or fifth subscriber. So I'm like, hit the bell.
Bravo to our subscribers. Oh my goodness, what was that?
That was me starting the live.
Gotcha.
You got me excited to look at it.
Yeah, Jonathan, I'm so excited about you coming on the show, sharing your story. It got real. I feel like
you invited me. I'm really thrilled.
Yeah. Well, once I heard your story on it and through direct message, I was like, man, we got to have you on the show because it's a perspective that we don't get to hear enough. I appreciate you being willing to go there with us. And is there anything that we didn't cover? Something that you're like, oh man, I wish you would have asked me about this?
First of all, that's an amazing question. I absolutely am very impressed when people ask
thank
that.
You. This is my journalism major, like playing out.
Yeah, it's true. There's so many people I've seen interviews being conducted, and they don't ask that because you don't know what the other person was just itching to say. In my case, not really. Because I know we had time constraints, but I would have
on time.
Yeah, I would have loved to just continue to go into more and more detail. I really don't mind getting into the nitty gritty of like what was it like day to day dealing with a mental breakdown, or what was it like to hire developers that were in Quebec, we have something that's between high school and university called Cégep. What was it like hiring people at that young age and sort of thing? Because
I'll tell you what, really think we will, when you get your business off the ground and when Jared and I come out to do the survival, post-apocalyptic survival camp, the first one, yeah, we'll do a follow-up. We'll go there. We'll do a 2-hour interview, and because I want to hear it too. It's not just
I would love to hear it.
I want to hear, yeah, exactly. I want to hear the nitty-gritty, the details of what that's like day to day. Unfortunately, with this format, we do try to keep it to about 15 minutes. Let us know in the comments if that's not something, if you'd prefer we just go 2 hours. I don't. I mean, we'll have to work it out time wise when we go live. But yeah, I could see us doing a show like that where we just really dive deep. So let us know in the comments, and we'll seriously consider that. But for now, we're trying to keep it to 15 minutes just so people can consume the content without committing a day to it. You know, like taking a day off so they can watch the People Cooler Than Me show. So anyway, we really appreciate it, Jonathan. Hopefully we at least got to cover everything with your story at least a flyover level. We look forward to you being a part of this community with the show, and we just really wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Jared, it has been an absolute pleasure. I cannot wait to see how this show continues to grow. I'm so pumped for you guys. You have no idea.
And Jonathan, I almost forgot, you are officially, after doing your own startup in Montreal, going through the process of having to sit down one-on-one with each of your teammates to deliver that bad news and have that conversation, like, and then to rise up and to be the person that you are and the character that, you know, we can see that you are officially cooler than me. So I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Have a great night, guys. I had a blast. Bye.